What's going on out in Vol Land? It's Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Monday Night Live. Thanks for joining me. Lots to talk about tonight. Just kind of getting one we'll talk about. Of course, the obvious. We're going to start NCAA tournament field was announced today. And would you have expected anything less than interesting with Tennessee baseball? I'm going to talk about why I absolutely love it. Love the draw. Love the tournament. Love this time of year. I am fired up for this whole thing. Now, I may not be too fired up if it doesn't go according to plan, but the road that is out there, I am so excited about it. I've seen all kinds of complaining and grimacing and all these things today. I love it. I absolutely love it. Go talk about the NCAA tournament draw. We're going to talk about Tony Vitello a little bit, and we're going to go back to the basketball roster a little bit later in the show, talk about the Chaz Lanier commitment, how he fits in, how it's going to impact this program. We'll talk some 8-6 live football recruiting from this past weekend. We'll probably touch upon the Lady Vols softball. Their journey come to an end last night. And then, whatever else comes up, or there's plenty of things to talk about. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all you some present military men and women out there who fought, who've sacrificed, who've done all these things for this country, who fought for our freedom. Thank you. So that people like me have that freedom just come on and talk a little bit of Tennessee sports and stuff like that. Have the freedom to get out here and, have a job that I do to be able to teach and do things like that. It's a blessing. And, frankly, it's all possible because of you here. So thank you. And happy Memorial Day. Let's get right into it. So Tennessee got their draw today. We knew after yesterday, won the SEC championship. We knew going in, we had a pretty good idea. Let's put it that way. Number one seed was going to be there for the taking. All right. So we knew that. We were not surprised with that. I think it was Tennessee 1, Kentucky 2. Was it North Carolina 3 and A&M 4? I think is how they lined up on that one. But, one thing for sure that we know when it comes to the NCAA and seeding, they don't know how to do it. They're going to do it how they want. And, we saw a good case today of when your committee is stacked with bubble teams, somebody's going to get the shaft in it. College of Charleston is one of them. Got the shaft. I mean, I hate it for multiple reasons. Number one, they deserve to be in with their record and such. I coached a couple of guys that play for College of Charleston now, actually, too. So I think they were redshirting this year, if I'm not mistaken. But still, yet, it would have been cool to see those guys get in, and they deserved it. The record. And I've seen people, their strength of schedule and whatnot. At some point, wins and losses have to matter. They have to matter. If you're going out and playing the toughest schedule in the country, that's great. But if you're not winning against it, what makes you think that team's going to get in the field of 64 and win too? I don't understand logic, and there's not logic to it. You can't sit here and tell me the SEC should have gotten 11 teams. Florida, there's no way Florida should have been in. I don't care what their record is. I don't care what their RPI or none of that stuff is with it. Florida's record was not that great, and Florida was an underachieving team. Now, with all that being said, could Florida get hot and win the whole thing? Sure. They were a top 5 preseason team, top 10. So, it could be like Ole Miss a couple years ago, last team in, and then they went on a run and won it. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody gets hot at the right time. With Florida, I don't see it. I just don't think they're that good, to be honest with you. Other than Jack Caglione, I think they're very pedestrian. I'll talk about, probably won't talk that much more about them, but there's always going to be those teams that get left out. And to me, it's a sham, and it's a shame that you have guys on the committee and all their teams are getting in on it. Maybe it's coincidence, but nothing with the NCAA to me is coincidence. It's the most crooked sports outfit in the world. Not in the country, the world. There's other, people going about Saudis and soccer and the Chinese league and all this. They just have money. All right. The NCAA is crooked. It is crooked. We know it. It's crooked as the day is long. But let's get right into it. Enough of the tangent there. about who should and should not have gotten in. The seeding, to me, you have to look at it as, I don't know why it's so hard. You come up with a formula. If you're the committee, you rank the teams 1 to 64. You go one of two ways. You either go snake order. For all you guys, probably most of you out here have played some kind of fantasy football, baseball, where you've done the snake order drafts. All right, so if you go that case, you start at Tennessee 1, you go to 16, and then you start over at 17. You put 7 to 16 and so on, and then you start over. You guys know what I'm talking about on that if you've done fantasy drafts or if you've done anything like it. There's a couple ways you could go with it. But I think it has to be clear as day, in which it was not last year with Tennessee and Southern Miss, when neither one of them were hosting the regionals, but they both won. And then they come up with some crap that they thought justified Southern Miss hosting, in which it did not, because there's no way that Tennessee was Clemson was the 4 seed last year. So that would have, according to the formula, put Tennessee at 28th. And there's no way. There's no way on that. So you rank them 1 to 64 and go like that. There's nothing to argue about then. There's literally nothing to argue about, but yet these geniuses at the NCAA, that supposedly go on all these numbers and metrics and all this data and stuff, they're full of crap. They're full of crap. That's all it is to it. Let's see who's in here before I get into that. Tim Bradley, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. And I know, Tim, thank you for your service on here as well as always. Feel good about where the baseballs are right now. They're not perfect, but they're as close to a complete team as they've been a long time, maybe ever on it. Yeah, they're a good team. I mean, yeah, absolutely. They've got a lot of things going for them. I mean, honestly, if I look at the team 2 years ago versus this one, I don't know. I really feel like Christian Moore, if I take both of those teams, best player, and I know Moore was a freshman on that team, so I'm not counting freshman Christian Moore. I'm talking about junior, should have been conference player of the year Christian Moore, who was not even on the all-conference tournament team. I don't know how this guy keeps getting shafted. Two things can be true. I'm going a tangent again. A guy can win conference player of the year, but another guy in the conference can win national player, Golden Spikes. I think that should have been the case. Christian Moore won the conference triple crown. Charlie Condon is the national player of the year. Christian Moore in conference, to me, I don't think it's a highway robbery or a sham or nothing, but at the same time, a triple crown's a triple crown in the Southeastern Conference. But anywho, I think the difference between that team and this team, I think when you got to the end of that season, their pitching staff, I think there were questions going in because Blade Tidwell had got put back in the leadership, the lead role for the weekend. He was coming off injury. I didn't think he had his stuff. Back, and they put him back at the front. I don't know that they're going to go at with A.J. Russell, but there were some comments the other night that led me to believe they may roll with him on Friday night, and I don't know about that. It's maybe they're just playing it precautionary and they're seeing enough in bullpen sessions that he's ready to go. But I think they've got their thing going on with their pitching staff, and I don't think you go messing with it. When something's working, you don't. If something's not working, sure, you go messing with it. But I really don't think you go messing with that. But if I look at best players, and there were some great players on that team 2 years ago, Christian Moore, to me, was the best player out of either team. I think he's better than the guys that were on. He's got that dog in him, as they like to say. He's got that in him where he wants it. There were some guys in that tournament I thought looked like, they did a lot of antics and stuff, but when they got smacked in the mouth, they didn't like it. And I don't say it from a standpoint they did not respond well to it. They were used to bullying that year. They were not used to when Notre Dame started to bully them, and they sat and took it. Christian Moore, these guys now, you want to poke the bear, as Mississippi State found out tonight, as Queens found out in the midweek, you'll find out. The old FAFO. I don't need to tell you what the first F stands for, but mess around and find out. That's what Mississippi State did. That's what Vanderbilt did when they ran their mouths and stuff. That's what other teams have found out along the way. You run your mouth to this team, it'll come back on you. Florida found it out earlier in the year. Florida got that one win against Tennessee, got mouthy. Tennessee come back and put it on them the next day. Better be careful what bear you're poking, because you don't want to wake the wrong one. You don't want to wake Mama Bear. All right, you better make sure you wake one of them cubs before you do Mama Bear. But normally if there's cubs around, Mama Bear is not far behind them. Words of wisdom from Frank Rock on this Monday night. But to me, Blake Burke, Christian Moore, give me those two guys that are willing to go out there and put it up. You've got guys, I like our closing options better. Redmond Walsh, all-time saves leader, did good things. Don't get me wrong on that. I'm taking Aaron Combs. I'm taking Nate Snead more over Redmond Walsh with it. Starting rotation-wise, that team from 2 years ago, I mean, you had Dolander, who was at his best at that time. He was Tennessee's best pitcher that year. Beam, at that point in the year, they weren't even throwing him. I don't think he threw the SEC nor NCAA tournaments that year. Chase Burns, they had dialed him back. Chase Burns is going to be a bit of topic of conversation tonight. If you have not seen the draw already, I'm sure most of you have already, but I like how this team is set up. To me, they just seem like everybody is pulling for one another. I don't see egos. I see supporting. And Tony Vitello talks about guys are competitive. They get mad when they're not out there, but they're entitled to their feelings. They're entitled to get mad. They're entitled to be upset if they're not in the lineup. I'd be more upset if a guy just was like, okay, sounds good, and went and sat down and just acted like a clown the whole time. I would be more concerned about that than I would. So, yeah, I like where the team's at, too. That's why I said earlier on, I love it. I love where this draw. I've seen a lot of people freaking out today. Who's the number one seed in it? The number one seed, the number one team should not be afraid of anybody. No one. You're number one for a purpose, or else, it's just a fake. I don't think this is a fake team. Douglas Graham, what's up, my man? Been looking forward to this all day. Go Big Orange. Let's embrace being the number one seed and win the championship. Somebody at some point in this century has got to do it. Why not Tennessee? SEC regular season co-champs. I'm still going to say champs. SEC tournament champions. Number one overall seed. Someone has got to do it at some point. Why not Tennessee? They're lined up to do it. They are lined up to do that for sure. Let's see. Chris Mansfield, love the show. Keep it coming. Go Big Orange. Thanks for tuning in, Chris. Good to see you in here. Ronnie Frank, I know, Ronnie, you commented earlier about the committee today being a joke. I agree with you. Florida 27 in over College of Charleston. That's a joke. That is a joke today. And I've seen some saying, well, my gosh, Charleston, their strength of schedule. I saw that their conference RPI is 10. That's not that bad. That is not that bad. And, your schedule is your schedule when you're in a conference. Okay, they're not an SEC school, but that's a shame. College of Charleston, that they're not in. That is a shame. And you're right; it's all about money. There's no doubt about it. Let's see, Alex Graves, good to see you in here. A little late logging in, but appreciate the Vol coverage. Look forward to it. Always supporting all Vol channel. It's your place for it, man. This is your place. Let's see, would love to deep dive the potential game. All right. I've got it coming. I found a pretty good Twitter handle today, actually. I had not seen this one. It's called Friday Starters. Man, they've got every regional broken down. Hitting, they've got all their metrics. They have overall record, conference record, RPI, strength of schedule. I guess they're just repeating them twice. They have their offensive statistics. They have their pitching statistics as well. So I'll dive into that with the Knoxville regional and the Greenville regional as well, as that's the one we are paired with. Let's see here. Stanley, anything new? Yeah, plenty new, Stanley. I appreciate you asking on here, as a matter of fact. So let's dive right into this thing. The Knoxville regional. So Tennessee will play Friday night, 7 o'clock against Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky is making their First NCAA appearance, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to share my Twitter feed here. I just want to show you guys some statistics. Some of you asked about comparing, and I'll let you guys kind of follow along with me here. But there's some pretty good stuff on here. Oh, let me get this one on you, Stanley. Give Coach a Sonic gift card. Love your show. Anything doing the Lady Vols portal? I have not seen anything, and I have been looking and trying to keep up with it, but it has gone silent. The video, I think I got a video, it was last week, talking about 2 potential targets for the Lady Vols. And it was really just digging, and it was trying to make something out of nothing. Honestly, I have seen nothing. I saw WBR, World Basketball. They're pretty good. They're a women's site. Had speculated on some portal commits today, but which it was kind of vague how they put it. But I wondered if it may involve the Lady Vols, because they still do have 2 roster spots left. But nothing yet. Just Lady Vols stuff. It is hard to find out there. I'm telling you, of course, a lot of it too, when I've Googled Lady Vols recently, you've had a lot of softball and stuff coming up as well, but nothing so far. I promise you, I've been digging pretty hard trying to find that. But let's get into, let me share this up. Friday start. Like I said, I just ran across this one today, but it was really good, actually. So here you go. This is the Knoxville Regional. So Tennessee is the 1. This whole thing's interesting. Southern Miss, I thought, interesting. Southern Miss is the 2 in this regional. And, all you guys that watch Tennessee baseball and know this is who Tennessee played in the Super Regional last year, beat them in Hattiesburg to get there. Southern Miss is going to come in wanting revenge this year. That makes it an interesting regional. You got Indiana in, who some of them thought was a bubble team, but some of their metrics here, they look decent. But this Northern Kentucky team, man, I started looking at them, and they're, I guess theoretically they should be considered the number 64 team since they're playing Tennessee. So let's kind of look here at, RPI, strength of schedule, all that stuff. Northern Kentucky, they're going to be down there because they play in a smaller conference. But look here, man, run scored per game. Northern Kentucky can score 9.5 runs per game, 4th in the nation. They're not a home run hitting team, though. They do okay. Tennessee first at 147. Northern Kentucky 57th with 86. Now, their walk percentage, they do walk a lot, 14.2%. Their strikeout percentage, 18.2. That's quite a bit less than Tennessee. You see Tennessee ranks 249th, as we all expected. Batting average, Northern Kentucky 6th in the nation, compared to Tennessee 17th. On-base percentage, Northern Kentucky 436, 4th in the nation. They're slugging, they're 14th at 545. And they're, I'm trying to think what the RC plus is off the top of my head, but there are 1/3. What is that one? I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but they are 132, Tennessee 134. That is a good offense Tennessee's playing. Now, where Tennessee gets the advantage, let's go down here to pitching. You're still with me here. Runs against per game, Tennessee 4.2. 2nd in the nation, Tennessee. Northern Kentucky 233rd. Strikeout percentage, Tennessee striking out 26.5%. Northern Kentucky 146th. Walks. Look at where Tennessee's at, man. At one point, we were talking about the walks. They end up 6th in the nation walk percentage. Northern Kentucky 231. Strikeouts to walks, Tennessee 4th at 18.6. Northern Kentucky 183rd. Whip, walks, hits per 9 innings pitched, Tennessee 2nd. Northern Kentucky 221. ERA, Tennessee 4th. Northern Kentucky 7.40, 249. And FIP, Tennessee 19th. Northern Kentucky 60. There's your advantage right there. That is your big advantage that this team's got going on for it. So Tennessee, their pitchers are going to have to be on it against this Northern Kentucky team. They can score runs. Their problem is their pitching. Tennessee has to take advantage of this pitching staff, which does not look very good. I'll go more in depth with them It'll probably be Thursday, possibly Wednesday night. It's going to depend. I've got a not too fun couple days coming up here as the old cleaning out process, if you guys know what I mean. The old colonoscopy coming up Wednesday. So I'm going to be out of commission here for a couple of days, but I'm hoping to be back ready to roll on Thursday and get previews going for this weekend. So if Tennessee wins that one, so they'll come up and play the winner of Indiana and Southern Miss in that second game. So let's take a look back here at these two again. So now looking at Southern Miss, looking at them, they are offense doesn't, they're ranking pretty much, if you see here in the hundreds, they average about 7 runs per game, 125th in the nation. Home runs, they're 139th. Their best metrics as far as offense, they hit 294, which is 71st, and their K percentage was 18.1, which is 77th. Now, if we look at Indiana, Indiana scores a little over 8 runs per game, which is 44th. Hit more home runs, 78 at 77th. Their walk percentage is better. Their K percentage is better. Their average is better. Their OBP is better. Their slugging is better. And their RC is better as well. Now, you go down and look at pitching. Here's the difference in these two. So the Miss has got a pretty strong pitching staff. Here, 5.7 runs against, which is 51st. Then in strikeouts, they're 20th. Walk percentage, 32nd. Ks to walks, 15th. Whip, they're 26th. ERA, 50th, which that's a little concerning ERA if I'm a Southern Miss fan. And then FIP is 26th. Indiana, on the other hand, their K percentage is good, and their walks to strikeouts is pretty good. Other than that, their pitching's pretty high. I like how this thing sets up for Tennessee. I really like how this one sets up. I think this plays into Tennessee's strengths on it. It's a case of, I just think, you're going to face good teams at this point in the season, no matter if you know them or you don't know them. Any of you that watch college baseball throughout the week, these midweek games, they're pretty rough, man. They can be rough. The fact that Tennessee only lost one of those, I thought was pretty well, because there were other teams. There were numerous high-ranked teams that struggled or lost midweek games throughout the year. It's not uncommon for that to happen on a weekly basis here. Let's see. Got about 20 of us in here. We'll see how long this thing goes. I got a few topics, and then I'll kind of go on with it. But, make sure you like this thing. You share it. If you have not and you like the content, make sure you subscribe to get notifications. I am looking at, I've got the scroll going across the bottom here. I am looking at some options for memberships on here to kind of see where we can kind of amp things up a little bit. As, of course, baseball season is winding down. I mean, theoretically, it could be over this weekend. It could be over in a month. It could be either or. Basketball portal season is slowed way down now. I don't think there'll be a lot of noise there. We're getting almost into a dead period for Tennessee athletics with the school year coming to an end. Summer, football is going to be on the horizon before too long. So we'll probably be shifting a little bit more to that and trying to get a little creative content this summer as far as, what to come up with, and try to come up with maybe some series and stuff to do as well. That's something I do enjoy doing, something I did on another channel when I was there, as I come up with, I guess the 1 full year we did a series in the off season, Fall of the Vols. That was my creation. Actually, we all contributed, but I was the one that actually sat down, put it together, ironed it out, all that stuff. I did all the research on it, and then we kind of went from there with it. So, regardless of what's said, that was indeed my creation. I'm going to claim it too. It was that, but so getting back into this one as well. Harmon JC Vol, what's up, man? Good seeing you. Dear Lord, that sucks. Hope it goes smooth. Happy I stumbled across this channel. Always like what you brought on it. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate the support. Appreciate all you that are in here. Thank you for, if you've not watched other channels, or if you have watched other channels, either way, thank you for your support. Thank you for coming in. It's always appreciated. And like I've always said, this thing is not possible without your support. It just isn't. That's a fact of the matter. If there's no one out there listening to content, what's the point in even putting it out? Try to do a good job with it. Some better than others, but I feel I'm not going to sit and lie that this is the place for Tennessee football. At least not yet. It's not. but this is the place for Tennessee baseball, basketball, and we're getting there with Lady Vols basketball. Picked that up here recently. The response to that's been phenomenal, and I hope to provide good coverage for any of you that are big Lady Vols fans as well. And who knows? Next year, maybe we can expand into softball as well. Would like to cover that because I like softball, enjoy watching it. It's just finding enough time for it is another thing. But wouldn't you know? Let's get to this one. This was the fun one. This is where I got fired up on this one. If you guys have not seen, let's pull up the other regional. So the Tennessee, let's see here. Let me find the Greenville regional. Most of you have probably seen it already. Let me scroll on down here to it, and we're going to take a look at Greenville region. Here we go. I knew it was coming. I knew it. My thought was East Carolina would be that 16. That was kind of where I thought it would go. And I thought Mississippi State or Duke would be the 2. That's who I thought was deserving of it. I knew who it would be, though. I knew it. Absolutely. I would place money on this one. You guys probably knew it. I knew it. Of course, it's Wake Forest. And you know what? I love it. I absolutely love it. Here's the Greenville regional. You got East Carolina's the 1 seed, Wake Forest the 2, Virginia Commonwealth, VCU 3, Evansville's the 4. So let's take a look at these. The fact, I'll be honest, Wake Forest should probably, but I think this conference mark 17 and 16 is probably what has them at a 2. I mean, their RPI is 9, their strength of schedule is 5. I mean, this is a pretty good ball team. But let's take a look at it in this regional. People are saying, well, East Carolina didn't deserve the 1. Wake Forest is going to be the favorite to come out of this regional. Everyone's going to be predicting Tennessee and Wake Forest in the super regionals. Now, granted, there's a long way to go for each team in it, but I would not discount East Carolina. At East Carolina, any of you, if you've watched it before, that environment is just second to none. It is phenomenal. I would love to go down there and go to a game, especially in the tournament. It is insane. And some of the games that they had down there in the regionals the last couple of years, off the chart. Almost said chain. Off the chart, man. Just what an environment. Evansville, Wake Forest, VCU winner. They're going to have to bring it, man. That crowd is going to be fired up for it. They always are. So let's kind of look at this one. Wake Forest is going to be the favorite to come out of that one. So let's look at offense here. East Carolina, they don't strike out a lot. They got a pretty good average at 310. That's really their best marks. They don't walk a lot. They're at 249th. Wake Forest, on the other hand, 34th in runs scored, 9th in home runs. Their walk rate is really high, 15.2%. So they're a very patient team. They don't strike out a lot. Their average is okay, 137, 281. That's not that great. These metrics is where they're, a little more down there. 407 on base percentage, slugging 523 on it. So, and then you look at Virginia Commonwealth, all of theirs other than on base percentage, they're up in the hundreds. I mean, Evansville, look at Evansville's offense here. All of their metrics are in the top 100, and most of them, you've got 4 of them here in the top 45 and the other 4 here in the top 100. That's not a slouch offense by any means. Now we go down here to the pitching. East Carolina's got a guy who ranks, I think he's got a sub. Let me pull it up here. Let's share this one here for just a minute. I was looking at the ERAs here. Trey Savage, 2.09 for East Carolina. And then you see, of course, there's Chase Burns at 2.46. I don't see any from any other regionals in the top 10. Now it could be more than that. Batting average, I don't really see anybody that we're facing in that top 10. Team batting averages here. You see Northern Kentucky at 6th. Team ERA, look there, Tennessee at 4th. Lamar's another team, and I think had a beef. They didn't get in, and they had a lot of good metrics for them. Should have been in on this thing. But let me go back to the other one here. All right, so let's get back to this one here. So why? I don't know. Wake Forest is a good team. Wake Forest is probably one of the top 10 teams in the country, to be honest with you. And I don't know. I see a case for them hosting, but I think that conference record would be what bumped them to a 2. But you can't. I don't know. I don't know how they go do all this. But you knew it was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. It is. Just think about this. Just think about this scenario. All right. Let's say that what everybody's going to pick happens. Tennessee takes care of business. Wake Forest goes and wins the Greenville Regional. Next weekend, Wake Forest comes to Knoxville. Friday night, that'll be, if they keep as is, Stamos Causey against Wake's Friday night guy. They kind of switched it up a little bit. But that game, too, Drew Beam versus Chase Burns in Knoxville. Holy crap. That place is going to be insane. You don't think Tennessee's going to be fired up to face Chase Burns. You don't think Chase Burns will be fired up to face Tennessee. That one will get heated. It will get very, very heated if it comes to that. I want it. I want it. All right. Should I be careful what I wish for? I don't mean any disrespect when I say Wake Forest and Chase Burns. I don't mean any disrespect to them that'll be an easy game, because it won't. All right. Chase Burns is one of the best strikeout pitchers in all college baseball. I posed a question one night on here. I said, if you could have one former guy back to add to this team this year, who would you take? I picked Chase Burns. I picked Chase Burns to come back and be the anchor of this team. Now, that's no disrespect to other guys, but I really hated that he left after the season. But you think about it, that game too, whether it's on Saturday or Sunday, depending on if all this plays out as is. And it's not a foregone conclusion, because anything can happen in these tournament games. Knoxville will be absolutely electric. Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine. I may even do a pregame that day if it is. We may do a House of Orange pregame just to get fired up for that one. And you know what? Chase Burns may strike out a lot of Tennessee guys if it comes to that. But you know one thing? He can strike out 24 of them. All right? If he strikes out 24 of them, so be it. As long as Wake Forest does not get 27 outs, I don't care. If Tennessee gets 27 outs, Wake Forest gets 24, that means Tennessee won the ball game. That's all I care about on it. Will we break down and talk about the strikeouts? Absolutely. But when it boils down to it, he can get 24 of them. As long as Tennessee gets 27 outs to his 24, I'm good with it. We'll roll with it. Not saying I would be totally happy, but I think you guys get what I'm saying on that. I really hope it comes out like that one. That would be just that would be college baseball at its best. That would be, and that's no disrespect to East Carolina. That's no disrespect to Wake Forest. The way I look at this, Tennessee's the number one overall seed. They're the number one team in the nation coming in. You should not be afraid of anyone in the entire nation. You should not. If you're number one, you'll earn it. And you're going to, it's like Ric Flair used to say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Well, if you're going to go win it in Omaha, you're going to have to beat the best anyway. All right? A game like that, seeing what's arguably the best pitcher in college baseball, you're going to have to go through guys like that at some point if you're going to win the national championship. What more of an electric atmosphere would that be? I hope it happens. I really do. People can get nervous about it all they want. Not me. I want the best. If you're going to, like I said, if you're going to be the best, you got to beat the best. And, I say I want them with all respect. Definitely all respect for that Wake Forest program. They're one of the best programs in college baseball, for sure. Anderson Hutzel, what's up, man? Seriously, thought Lady Vols could bring home a natty. Disgusting, at least mostly because they're ended by Buck Fama. Yeah, I totally agree with that one. It could have been. I don't think any way they lost would have been good, but out of all teams, Bama, man, that stinks. That stinks on that one. The Outlaws hype man, Bob Franklin. What is up, Bob? Outlaw incoming. You never know tonight. You never know. It could happen at any point for sure. Vols Titans 8. What's up, man? Just now tuning in to Spaceball Come Alive when Mississippi State lit a fire in us. What we needed. I think I asked this other night. I asked it yesterday when we were on the post game after the SEC championship. And, you guys are in here. You can feel free to comment on this again if you didn't get to the other night. But how many of you guys come into the SEC tournament? You didn't care. If they would have went 0-2, you were good with it. You were focused on the NCAA. Lost to Vanderbilt. Beat Texas A&M. It was a good game. I mean, it was just a good competitive game. I don't remember a lot of, mouthing or any of that stuff. It was just a good, fun baseball game. And then the Mississippi State game happened. 5th inning. Mississippi State got mouthy. They poked the bear. They lit the fire. From that point forward, for me, my total mindset changed. I wanted to beat Mississippi State. And then it come up, we were getting Vanderbilt. Well, I didn't want to lose to Vanderbilt again. And then it comes up, you're already in the SEC championship. You've already got there. You've got to play the game. Yeah, I want to win it at that point. So thank you to Mississippi State for lighting a fire in the Tennessee baseball team, and probably a lot of Tennessee fans who were maybe kind of on the fence about it. And then we were all in at that point. Who knows where that is? I hope somebody lights a fire, and I hope it doesn't take that with tournament time right now. I mean, Tennessee 3 years ago almost found out quick when they come in and played Wright State that, you get a 4 seed that can hit, Northern Kentucky can hit, you better be careful because Wright State come very close. It took basically a miracle night for Tennessee to pull that one off. Probably the most magical moment in Tennessee baseball history. It took that to pull that game off. And, of course, they rolled on to Omaha. Didn't do too good in Omaha, too, in barbecue, but still yet. That Drew Gilbert bomb, that grand slam, ignited that team. They didn't lose a game in it, but they were close. That Wright State team was a buzzsaw on offense, and I was really expecting to see them again, but I think it probably, you get that game. It happened to Clemson last year. Clemson 1 out away from ending that game, makes the pitching change. Zane Denton bomb. Of course, it ends up going to extra innings, but still yet, Tennessee deflated Clemson and they come out and lost the next day. I don't think you could stress how much losses like that impact teams. And then, that's what it took. That's what we needed, and that's what did it. And that team went on a run and won that tournament after that. Let's hope it carries over to this weekend. If they do get Wake Forest, you're not going to have to light a fire under this team, especially on Chase Burns Day. You cannot tell me that there were probably not some hurt feelings when he left Knoxville numerous ways. I'm sure everybody had their conversations, had to do what they had to do. He had to do what he had to do. I have no issue with Chase Burns. I hate that he left. But you know what? Last year I saw a guy in the regionals and the super regionals and in Omaha that was still out there 100% in. I can't say anything bad about him because maybe he pouted some of the year for getting removed from the rotation. Maybe he didn't like it. Who knows what went on behind the scenes. What I saw, and when he come out and performed, he was still giving it his all. I can't say a bad thing about him on that. I wish he was still part of the team, but make no mistake about it. I hope we get him and get to beat him too. This is an interesting one here, Vols Titans. You said Vitale threw some comments last night about how no pitchers have complained about their role. He had alluded to, it's interesting you bring that up when I'm talking about Burns, and I think there were more last year too. I'm thinking Dolander may have had some issues with his role too last year because he started out the Friday night guy, and then, the whole rotation was basically stinking up the joint, and they changed it up. But Vitale talked earlier in the year, he was really complimenting his staff because they've had to make adjustments with the A.J. Russell injury and what they've done. He was talking about how selfless this team is and these pitchers. And he said he was point blank. He didn't call anybody out by name, but he said there were some pitchers last year who had an issue with their roles and complained and didn't want to go along with it. I think we can guess who they are. On the field and when it was there, those guys still, I saw them giving it all. I saw Burns do it. Dolander was off last year, so I don't know. I'm speculating on him. I think we can put 2 and 2 together on most of it. But the fact that these guys they'll do whatever he's asked them to do. They all want the ball. He's talked about numerous times how some of these pitchers probably want to kill him. That's his word. It's not mine and stuff. But he said, they do what they're asked to do. And I like the competitiveness that these guys want the ball. If you got a guy down there not wanting the ball, he doesn't need to be down there in that bullpen. Let's see here. Eli Smith, what's up, man? Good to see you again. Andy, my dad are pulling for you. We support you 1,000%. Appreciate that. Thank you guys for all your support. Like I always say, man, it's been pretty cool, this baseball brand. I'm hoping it'll amplify next year. Just really the first year of the channel, I launched it literally at 12:01 on January the 1st. I've contemplated launching this thing for a long time, and it was finally like it's either time to do it or shut up about it. And so I finally did it. I'm happy I did. And this thing, it's taken off right now. It's doing a lot of good things, and I'm really happy with where it's at. I'm hoping that the baseball coverage is even better next year, as it's still a filling out process now. I'm going to make some errors along the way, and I have no problem with that. It's just I have to figure out where things that have not gone well and where I can get better at them. And I'm always open to listeners' feedback as well. If there's things you guys would like to see, or if there's constructive criticism. Now, there's things I'm not going to change. Don't get me wrong, but as far as things you might like to see or things you've noticed that maybe I'm not, I'm open to them. I'm not naive to believe that there's not going to be mistakes made on here. But let's see what else we got here. We've got a good little audience in here tonight, guys. I appreciate you guys. Papa J, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. Yeah, I was okay if they lost, but this is great momentum. Let's see here. Harmon, JC Vol, only thing worrying me are those unneeded errors. Yeah, that's I won't go back to this one here. Okay, if they lost, but this is great momentum. It was, man. I mean, there's if this was really the guy down here, I'll give the guy a big old Xander said. Well, how about them pitchers this weekend? How about them pitchers? You go back Wednesday night, they went Snead. Snead had 2 good innings, and then not. It went a little long. I think Vitello realized that. Snead can go longer than 2 innings. He's done it numerous times this year. It's just one of those things. Vanderbilt, they got to him that night. And then you threw midweek guys. I like that they tested them out and stuff. It is what it is right there. But then you go to the Texas A&M game, Stamos and Causey. They did their job. I think it was Combs closed it. You get to the Mississippi State game. Drew Beam, I thought Drew Beam was throwing the best that he's thrown all year. I really did. I thought his stuff seemed to me like he was up a few miles per hour. His breaking stuff was good. It was really unfortunate that he did not get out of that 4th inning because, I said it, Cal Stark dropped the strike 3. I'd say Cal Stark made up for that yesterday. Don't you think? But even with that, the next 2 pitches by Drew Beam were perfect. The first breaking ball, especially, it broke right over the middle. It's not where the catcher catches it. It's where it crosses at. And then the second one was good. I saw that exact same pitch yesterday be a strike, the one that was ball 4 for Drew Beam that walked in that run that prolonged that inning. That same pitch from another pitcher yesterday was thrown. It's from an LSU pitcher, and it was a strike. So I don't know. I think there's times I don't know what a freaking strike is anymore because I'm seeing it from my view. It looks like it's right down the middle or it's on the corner, and they're calling it a strike. And then I'll see one that's, 6 inches outside. Or I'm sorry, I'll see one that's down the middle or it's on the corner, and it's not a strike. But then I'll see one 6 inches outside, or I'll see one does not even cross the plate, and it's a strike. So maybe it's just our view we have on it. But, talking about that, and then you had the Vanderbilt game. You had Xander Sechrist pitched his ass off that game. Excellent effort from him. And then you had Marcus Phillips come in. They let Marcus Phillips eat that thing, and he had good stuff. I think it's good that you see, especially in a game where if you would have lost, it wouldn't have mattered, honestly. but you see out of him that he had some electric stuff. He was hitting 100. I think Vitello talked about that's what, like the 10th guy since he's been here that could hit 100. That's pretty fascinating. He was hitting 100. He had an excellent 7th inning. 8th and 9th inning, got in some trouble, and he worked out of both of them. I think that's good to see out of him, that he can get into that trouble and that he can get out of it. I loved it. I love seeing him let him work out of it. And then yesterday, of course, A.J. Russell threw one bad pitch. And like Tony Vitello said in the post game, that Jones guy for LSU, he hit a lot of long balls this year. I think that was his 25th. So he can hit it. Russell had thrown some good breaking balls to him prior to that. That one just hung. It happens. And he made him pay. Thankfully, Billy Amick got the stroke back going, hit that 3-run home run. But then you got Russell out of – how about Dylan Loy? How about Dylan Loy and the job he did yesterday? Excellent job by him, what he put in. Kirby Cannell, Mr. Consistency, comes in. I thought it was funny. Kyle Peterson said Cannell needs about 3 pitches to be loosened up. I would venture to say he could go throw 1 pitch and he's ready to come in. But that guy could probably literally throw every day 500 pitches and he'd be good to go. His endurance, as much as he can go, is phenomenal. But he come in, did his job. How about that Cal Stark pick? 5th pick of the year from behind the plate. That's where, Cal Stark behind at the plate sometimes, can get a little frustrating. But he's one of, if not the best defensive catchers in college baseball. I feel Cal Stark will get drafted due to his defense with it. Teams can work with him on hit and continue to work with him. You don't see a lot of catchers in the major leagues hitting high averages and stuff. Throughout catcher, all the times I can remember, throughout all those times, you normally have your catchers hitting for lower averages, but they're in there because of that defense. They're kind of that general back there, for lack of a better term. Cal Stark's that guy back behind the plate, and that's where he makes up for it there. Only thing are the unneeded errors. Yeah, they had those errors against Vanderbilt. I can't fault the one on Tiers. I mean, if that ball's dancing around, the wind's carrying it, we can look at it on the surface as one. Yeah, I could sit here and easily say, yeah, he should have had it. But, that wind was wreaking havoc out there the other night. But Amick at third, you're playing third in SEC. I think you got to have that one. I really do. So, they make good plays, but then they have those, like you said, those unneeded errors. If this is really true, what's up, Frank and Sander from the baseball team? Big fan, love seeing the growth. That'd be so cool if it really is. If it is really you, Xander, you pitched amazing this weekend. Awesome job. If it is. So let's see here. Roy, let full-time. This is not a full-time job. It is not. Nope. Just kind of a side project to start doing, something I'm enjoying doing, and having quite a bit of fun with it too. Keg 2071. Hope you're enjoying a good cold one today, man. Numbers are up. Yeah. Yep. This thing it's funny. When I picked up Lady Vols basketball, this channel just took off. It doubled in no time. It was something I kind of contemplated, but that was kind of the birth of the Outlaw. If you guys have seen that mentioned, I come out guns blazing that night. I kind of felt like, I don't know if it's a combination of the Outlaw Josie Wells and Dirty Harry. Oh, it's kind of like, go ahead, punk, make my day. And or go ahead, make my channel, I guess it was. And that Lady Vols basketball rounded it out. Pretty cool. Did you play base? I played some. I got in trouble more than anything. To be honest with you, what I've went and played in college, no, I don't think back then. I would have loved to have played in today's with year-round baseball. A lot of you guys are probably like me. Back when I was growing up, it was just you did whatever sport it was by the season. There wasn't all this travel ball. There wasn't this year-round stuff. I mean, I would have loved to have grown up now in the baseball culture of year-round, because you're basically playing and preparing all year round. They do a lot of stuff through the school. I have coached, though. I mean, I've coached I've been off and off. I coached 3 years in Tennessee and once when you're in South Carolina. I've actually been pretty fortunate to coach one major leaguer and numerous college guys at this point. Now, did I have anything with them to do with them getting there? Probably not a single thing, but I was still part of those rides. I was still there along the ride, and knew those guys, and they were all good guys that I know that's moved on too. But it's been a lot of fun with it. Baseball can piss me off. I'll be honest with you about it, just because if you guys look at, you've got to analytics or analytics. I don't have a problem with them, but I think sometimes they're overused, and there's a lot of baseball elitists out there. And I've coached with them. I've talked to them. I've seen them all over the place. Anybody, their terms, they say, I know baseball. That's a person that's full of crap. All right. They think they do. Anybody that says, I know baseball, you're telling me you know it all. You've learned it all. There's nothing left for you to learn. You're not going to evolve. It's going to be your way or else. Anybody I've heard say that was not open to other ideas or anything with it. So, baseball guys can absolutely piss me off. I'm not going to be. I've coached with some great guys, and there's been some hitting. I've talked it with some great guys. There's guys I've talked it with. I don't. I like sharing opinions. I like sharing things. I like having different aspects of it. Talking baseball with a know-it-all, and I'm definitely not a know-it-all by any means either. It can be really annoying, but I played a little in high school. Antics kind of took over, and plus, like I said, I was okay at it. Nothing great. I don't need maybe average at best. There were things I was good at. There was things I wasn't good. I didn't have a lot of power. Like I could hit a fastball all day long. I couldn't hit a breaking ball though. Daryl, what's up, man? Possible super regional Wake Forest. That'll be a tough series. I hope the Vols make the CWS. I think any series at this point, even this weekend, you're going to have to bring it if you get Southern Miss or Indiana. You're going to have to bring in Northern Kentucky. If your pitching staff is off on Friday night, Northern Kentucky can make you pay. So whoever's pitching, if they go Stamos and Causey, those guys are going to have to keep doing their thing that they have done with it for sure. That has the potential, if Tennessee's pitching staff's not on, to be a high-scoring game. And, hopefully somebody said it. I think, David Polk right here. Good seeing here, David. Need our bats to come alive. They're going to have to be alive, definitely on Friday night, because Northern Kentucky can score. Some of you, if you were with me from the start, and I'll pull this back up here in just a minute to look at them. They rank like let me get back to it. As far as offense, they're fourth in runs scored. They're 57th in home runs, but they are sixth in average, fourth in on-base percentage, and 14th in slugging. This is a very good offense, this Northern Kentucky team. So whoever gets the call on Friday night, they're going to have to be ready. They're going to have to be on it for sure. Let's see. Drew, what's up, man? Tony V shows more patience with pitchers than most coaches, gives them a chance to work out of trouble. He does. And there's times we wonder how in the world, why is he not pulling them and such? And then they pull out of it. I've seen it go both ways with him. I've seen him give guys leash and they've worked out. I've seen him guys give leash and then they get leash and they've gotten hit. I talked about it last year. The last day of the regular season was in Columbia against South Carolina. I was there for both games, and Chase Dolander was rolling. I think he'd given up one run. South Carolina got a runner on, and then he pulled him for Chase Burns. Chase Burns got lit up in that. Now, I thought there was that play kind of like Amick against Vanderbilt where that guy smoked one to third, and Zane Denton just tried to backhand it and wouldn't get in front of it. And then Maliahuna had to play it short. I thought he should have had too. So they didn't do Burns any favors, but both of those balls were smoked. I remember that, but they lit Chase Burns up. That was one that I really thought Dolander should have been given a chance to work out of, but it was late in the game. And normally when he gets to that point, he'll give them that chance, one runner, and they're out with it. But he does give them that for sure. D. Lloyd, bright future, love that guy. True freshman out of Pigeon Forge. True freshman out of Pigeon Forge. That dude's role has just kept expanding, going on. He's been great. And I think he is going to have a role moving forward here. Christian Moore making his case as one of the best to play at UT. Absolutely. And like I said, if I had to compare my big difference between this year's team and the team 2 years ago that was just setting all the records, got unfortunately beat by Notre Dame, I'm taking Christian Moore over anybody on that team. And I know Christian Moore's on that team. He was pretty dang good, and he wasn't a full-time player on it. But he was him in that leadoff role. I've been adamant about it from the get-go of having Christian Moore at leadoff. I want my guy. I want my dude leading off. Christian Moore is that guy. There's other guys you could put up there too, don't get me wrong, but how many times has that come around this year where the bottom of the order has come through? You get back to the top, and there you go. Christian Moore's waiting. You can't pitch around him because you got Blake Burke wait behind him. You got Billy Amick wait behind him. You got Drowling or Tears, whomever is in there. Hunter Inslee at fifth now. How about Hunter Inslee? I thought he had an excellent tournament. He stepped it up here lately. Gotten to that top of the order. Kentucky found out. They got to the top of the order, and Christian Moore made him pay. I still, like I said, two things can be true. Christian Moore, SEC Player of the Year. Charlie Condon, Golden Spikes Award winner. They can happen. You don't have to win one to win them both. Is Condon deserving SEC Player of the Year? Yes, he's a great player. He's probably the best hitter in the entire country. But you can't sit here and tell me that the SEC Triple Crown winner is not on the number one team in the nation, on the conference champion, on the conference tournament champion, is not the Player of the Year. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It is what it is. No, it is me, I promise. I'm not a fake. Well, man, if so, this is really cool. Glad to see you on here. Congrats to you guys. Congrats to you on, a heck of an effort this weekend. I'm fired up for this tournament. And like I said, be careful what you wish for sometimes, but everybody's circling that Wake Forest matchup. I want to see Drew Beam versus Chase Burns Saturday night, Knoxville, Tennessee. I want to see it. That is what it's all about right there. It is what it's all about. David Polk, just like Texas, put in Texas A&M region. Are they? I hadn't looked at that one. See, I'm looking at, there's Kentucky's. I mean, they got Indiana State in. That will not be Illinois, I think, was Big Ten champions. So Kentucky's got a pretty tough little region. A&M, A&M's the 3 seed. They got Louisiana, Texas, and Grambling. So you got to think people want to see A&M, Texas. Chapel Hill Regional's got North Carolina, LSU, Wofford. Don't sleep on Wofford, man. Wofford can hit. Number 2 in runs scored per game. 3rd in batting average, 3rd in on base. Wofford can hit. Wofford in some metrics pitching, North Carolina's got a tough regional. North Carolina's a heck of a team. Arkansas, they've got Louisiana Tech, Kansas State, Southeast Missouri. I think Arkansas rolls on that one. Clemson Regional, Clemson, Vanderbilt, Coastal Carolina, High Point. Clemson better watch out for Vanderbilt. I think Clemson's going to come in with a chip on their shoulder, though. I've already seen people predicting Vanderbilt to come in and beat them. I don't think Clemson's going to forget what happened to them last year from our beloved Vols. But I mean, Clemson's got a good team. And, there's Clemson can make some noise with it. Now, they can be shut down, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Vanderbilt, I just wonder with them. They're so inconsistent. I don't think it's a matter of talent, but, people are picking Vanderbilt to be. I'm going to go Clemson. Coastal Carolina got in. Vanderbilt better watch out for Coastal Carolina. And I know people are saying, well, Coastal may not have deserved to get in. I don't, man. I don't know if they should have gotten in over College of Charleston, but, who else? Where else should College of Charleston gotten in at? So Charleston should have been in. I mean, if you got Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt's not that good of a hitting team on it. Coastal's a better hitting team. Vanderbilt's pitching is Yeah, I mean, it's better than Coastals, but it's a little better than I don't know, man. That's a pretty good regional, actually, with Clemson, Vanderbilt, and Coastal Carolina. High Point, I think Clemson takes. I think High Point will get taken care of. Their offense doesn't look too bad. Athens regional, you got Georgia, UNC, Wilmington at 2, Georgia Tech at 3, Army at 4. I think Georgia has a good chance to roll in that one. Tallahassee, you got Florida State, Alabama, Central Florida, Stetson. That's a pretty interesting regional. Alabama and Central Florida are both decent teams. Florida State better bring it on that one. Oklahoma region, Oklahoma, Duke, UConn, Oral Roberts. That's another good one. And Tony Vitello was talking about this. There's a little bit of a history there with Oral Roberts as that 3 seed. Oral Roberts, man, or I'm sorry, it's the 4 seed. They're one of those that I don't know how many times it was, but he mentioned that they have come up and upset teams numerous times. So you do not, if you're Oklahoma, want to come in and sleep on Oral Roberts by any means whatsoever. But that's a rough regional right there. Duke just won the ACC tournament. UConn's got a pretty good team. UConn was at one point projected as a 2 in the Knoxville regional. So, yeah, that's a pretty rough one right there. If I had to pick, I'm going to go Duke, but Oklahoma, I mean, we found out with Oklahoma, that's a good team. Raleigh regional, North Carolina State, South Carolina, James Madison, Bryant. Madison, South Carolina, NC State, that's 3 pretty good teams. I mean, South Carolina played some good baseball this weekend. So it's, any of those 3 teams could come out of that one. Oklahoma, the Stillwater, you got Oklahoma State, Nebraska, Florida, Niagara. Florida, I guess Florida, where they got in, 28, 27, 13, 18 conference, I still think it's a joke, but their number 1 strength of schedule is probably what got them in on it. Let's face, and, people want to see Jack Caglione. So, there's reasons they got in on that for sure. Let's see what else we got here. That's Nebraska's playing pretty good. Who knows if Florida turns it on and puts it together, they could have that Ole Miss type round. I mean, Niagara down there in that 4 seed, they don't look too bad here, but pretty good regional. Charlottesville, you got Virginia, you got Mississippi State, St. John's, and Penn. I mean, Virginia, Mississippi State, I think they're better than the other 2. That should be a pretty interesting one. Tucson's got Arizona, Dallas Baptist, West Virginia, and Grand Canyon. That is a brutal regional. And that Arizona Grand Canyon game, oh my gosh. If you guys remember last year when Tennessee went out and played Grand Canyon, how rowdy that crowd was. That's going to approach what Tennessee Wake Forest will be. I don't know what Wake Forest crowd would be like, but I can assure you Grand Canyon is going to bring the fan base against Arizona. If you get a chance to watch that one, I would imagine that'll be a late game. That one's going to be some fun. Dallas Baptist and West Virginia, that's going to be a good one. That's a brutal regional right there. Santa Barbara, you got UC Santa Barbara, San Diego, Oregon, and Fresno. That's a pretty good one. Oregon State, UC Irvine, Nichols, and Tulane. That's a pretty good regional, too, if you look at it, all 4 teams, and then the Greenville regional as well. The 4 teams in the Greenville regional were VCU and Evansville. Neither one are too bad a team. So I don't think it's a given that Tennessee sees Wake Forest next weekend. I like Tennessee's regional. I like how it's set up for them. I just think they're better teams than Southern Miss and Indiana. I think where these teams are good, Tennessee's better. And where Northern Kentucky can hit, Tennessee can also hit, but Tennessee's got a lot better pitching. I think that's what it's going to boil down to for them. Sam Hargrove, what do you think about a team needing to be able to play small ball as well as the long ball? Wish we had a pinch runner. I agree with you. I totally agree. You got to be able to play small ball to win in Omaha. I really think so. You got to be able to get your bunts down. Like you said, man, I wish there was that guy you think back a couple years ago, what I liked about that team 2 years ago, you had Seth Stevenson. That dude could swipe some bags. He was lightning fast. I wish they had that one guy off the bench. I don't know if Laurie is possibly that dude. He has pinch ran some, but I mean, it's going to be a case where I think in your lineup, your infield is set. You're going to have Burkmore, Curley, Amick. Your outfield is set. It's going to be Tiers, Curley. Tiers, Inslee, and Dreiling. Cal Stark's going to catch. I really think it's going to be Reese Chapman. I think the way he was swinging the bat, but I thought it was interesting. He gets hot, and all of a sudden, they give other guys opportunities the last 2 games. And maybe it's just the case of they get some other guys some at-bats. But I think at this point, Reese Chapman's swinging the best bat. I think it's got to be your DH come time. Could I see Peebles in there? I think it's, if they are switching it, I think it's between Chapman, Bargo, and Cannon Peebles. But, also with Cannon Peebles, if you're DHing him, you're possibly, what happens if you do pinch run for Cal Stark? Well, you can't. You're going to have to put Charlie Taylor in at catcher, or else you're going to kill the DH if you move Peebles in. And, I guess it works out the same, to be honest with you, because you're going to pinch hit anyway in that situation. But still yet, I think it'll be Chapman. But if they had that one guy, especially late in the game, who could put some pressure on, that would be huge. Tennessee can make you pay. We've seen it. We've seen it, man. You 1 through 6 in this lineup, I put up against anybody. I'll put them up against anybody. Dean Curley, we started to see a little bit of signs up. Reese Chapman at DH, we started to see a little bit of signs of him coming around this past weekend. I mean, Cal Stark did have a home run. He gave a couple rides. Cal Stark's big thing, he's got to be able to, I think, just put the ball in play for 1, 2. When it gets called upon, he's got to be able, that's where the small ball that Sam talked about, you've got to be able to put that bunt down. Got to be able to put that bunt down with it. But, Inslee moving up that 5, the way he stepped up, his average, I think, is up to like 290 something now. It was back down to 250. He had that big day yesterday. He had a hell of an SEC tournament. He really did. He had a big, and, his defense is never questioned, his offense, but I feel like he keeps getting better as the year's gone along. Is he perfect at the plate? No. But you know what? He does those things. He takes those walks. He gets on base. He can move guys around. I thought he had an awesome SEC tournament, and I think it's just at the right time as well. Candace Lockwood, good to see you in here. Lady Vols broke my heart over the weekend. Probably should have lost game 1 and left 18. 18 on base in game 2. I guess I was watching part of the baseball game. Just missed the game-saving catch on the grand slam. That was so close. That was so close when I saw it, because I guess I was still watching. But I may have been doing the live show, actually, when they started on it. Or no, I guess it was during the baseball game. But I saw the replay. Yes, the left fielder of Tennessee, she missed it. And it was heartbreaking, because it's, sports, the thrill victory, the agony defeat. If you're Tennessee, who else would you have wanted up at the end other than Kiki Malloy? It is heartbreaking. That's sports sometimes. Unfortunately, somebody has to win, somebody has to lose, and it's part of it. And sometimes even your greats, that's how they go out. They don't always all go out on top. They're not all, for every Peyton Manning who goes out on top the way he did, there's so many more that don't do that. And, it came around. Tennis, the Lady Vols had the bases loaded. They had their, probably, who they wanted up. And it just didn't happen. It stinks. Like I think it was Anderson said on here earlier, and to lose to Bama makes it even worse. Let's see. Good question here. How was AJ's elbow? So I think it's all right. I know the way that the camera was showing it with him talking with the trainers yesterday and such, that it kind of looked worse than it was. I mean, I saw Dylan Lloyd, though, kind of doing the same thing where he was kind of doing this with his arm also. So I don't know if there was much to it. And then AJ, he had a big bottle of water or a big jug of water and headed down to the bullpen. So I think he's pretty good. I think he'll be good to go. And Vitello talked about it in the post game a little bit, talked about how I think he wanted to push it a little bit more and I guess they'd kind of seen what they wanted to with him. So I'm curious to see how the rotation lines up next weekend. Personally, I don't mess with it because I think, especially what you just saw this weekend with Stamos and Causey, with what they did, Drew Beam, like I said, in my opinion, he threw the best he has thrown all year, I thought. And then Xander Sechrist, which I really hope that is him that's in here. You never know with the social media, but with the way he pitched and what he gave them, turning it over to Marcus Phillips, I don't think you mess with it. I don't think you mess with it. These guys are getting the job done. They've had a good system, and that's why Frank Anderson is the best at what he does. Okay, not ideal for your staff ace to go out. They adapted, they improvised, they overcome, and they've done a pretty freaking good job with it. What's up, Herb? Good to see you in here. I thought this might happen, and it would have been insane. You imagine if you would have gotten Clemson, South Carolina, and Coastal Carolina all in that same bracket. You could have probably gone a step further if they would have put College Charleston and sent them down there. That would have been nuts. That would have been nuts. Devin Arnold, good to see you in here. That North Carolina regional looked rough. Yeah, I mean, you've got let me go back and find that one again. LSU. Who else was it? It was crud. Where are we at here? Wofford. Wofford can hit, man. They can hit. And then Long Island. I don't know much about Long Islanders. Honestly, with their numbers, nothing really stands out. I mean, they were 33, 23, 28, and 10. So I think North Carolina probably rolls on that one. That LSU Wofford game should be fun, though. That should be fun. I would think LSU, I don't think, can afford to go light on that one. They're going to have to go Luke Holman in that game against Wofford, because if LSU tries to get cute with it, Wofford will make them pay. I mean, that's just the same with Tennessee. If Tennessee tries to get cute against Northern Kentucky on Friday, Northern Kentucky can make them pay. Tennessee will make them pay, or can make them pay as well. Don't get me wrong with it. But, looking at it from that standpoint, Tennessee is, your pitchers are, it's big boy baseball. This is a big boy offense they're playing. Of course, that's not against SEC competition, but let's see. Joanne Shelton, good to see you in here. We hate what happened to Lady Vols. Also make it worse for all teams. Alabama. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That made it even worse. I mean, it's bad enough losing as is, but to lose to Alabama, that just stinks. Hate it for the program. Hate it for Coach Weekly. Hate it for those ladies. But, hopefully they'll reload, come back ready to, make a bigger run next year for sure. Let's see, Devin up here in fellow upstate. Of course, you've been here longer than I have, but Buddy's Clemson fan, not happy with their regional. It's a pretty tough regional. Vanderbilt, Coastal, and High Point. I think, out of all these, High Point doesn't look to me like they're a joke. So it's you're going to have to bring it. You're going to have to bring it if you're Clemson. I think the added thing for Clemson is just that chip on their shoulder from last year. I really do. John Majors, what's up, man? Say it's great to be at Tennessee. Oh, Bill Walton, that was a tough one today. Thoughts? I liked old Bill Walton. He was crazy. He in a good way. Big deadhead, big Grateful Dead guy, but just a dude who really seemed like he loved life and just lived it to the fullest. Really enjoyed it. I did not realize that he'd been sick, because I was thinking he was on the Maui Invitational back in the fall or back in the winter. I was thinking he was. I could be wrong, back around Thanksgiving. But hate to hear that. I enjoyed hearing Bill Walton on it just because he was he was always a funny guy. And, just this is a good one. Always hearing his stories about Larry Bird. Larry Bird's stories are awesome. And I'm an old school Lakers guy, Magic Johnson guy, but that rivalry, Celtics Lakers, was just awesome back in the day. It was competitive. Neither team wanted to give an inch to the other. The NBA today, it's nothing compared to what it used to be. Nothing on it. People can say LeBron trying to make a case for him being the GOAT. No. I was not a Jordan guy, but Jordan was the man. Jordan was the man. I don't even think it's a debate on that. Now I can't speak for seeing guys like Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and those guys play, but just in my lifetime, I mean, there's Jordan. Is LeBron one of the greats? Absolutely, he is. But do you really think in your right mind that those guys back in the 80s, early 90s would all want to go team up like these dudes do now? You think if Jordan and Magic and Bird, they're all going to put together a scheme to go team up, and then you get, I don't know, say, more of an Alex English, a Joe Dumars, just for example, that decides to take less money to go chase that championship and stuff. There's no way. There's absolutely no way they would have. Now, those teams back then were built pretty much the honest way through the draft. I mean, there was a little bit of, the free agency stuff and whatnot, but they didn't have the luxuries back then. They had to build them pretty much through the draft, or, free agency as it went on became a little bit more. But there was I don't know, the NBA was awesome back then. I loved it. Used to love it back then. Good. Let's see, there's a couple. I'll get back to this one in a minute, Herb. Wofford and LSU, tough draw. That's a tough region, man. That's a tough one. That'll be a fun region over there, that Chapel Hill one with LSU and Wofford. That will be a lot of fun. Always loved hearing the Bill. Yeah, okay, I hit that. Sam Hart, did Kentucky get an easy pass? I didn't really think they did. Looking here, they got Indiana State, which Indiana State was number 10 RPI, 42-13, 25-7. Indiana State was talked about as a potential number 1 seed for a long time. Illinois was Big Ten champions. I mean, Tennessee played them. Tennessee, I think, did they run rule them all 3 games? But that's still a pretty good baseball team. And in Western Michigan, I mean, I don't think they got it. They're a decent hitting team. Pitching, meh, not so much. So, I mean, Kentucky's going to have to bring it. I don't think Indiana State, if it went the way it did with seeding, if you went 1 through 16 and then you do snake order and you start over 17 through 32, you can't sit here and tell me that Indiana State was the number 131 team. You can't tell me that. So I think Kentucky got a little bit of a raw deal. But, I mean, it's the same thing as with Tennessee, though. You're a number 1 or number 2 overall seed, you should say bring it on to anybody. It should not matter who. I just don't think they put it. These committees are jokes. I don't get it. I don't get the rhyme and reason a lot of the time. How does ECU pitch and hit and stack up against Wake Forest? This is a good question. I'm going to go back down to this regional. Let me share my screen here with you as well. Like I said, I found a site today. It was pretty good. Friday nights. Friday starters. It's called. I had not seen them. Gosh, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. I've been flapping my gums that long. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for help driving the chat. Lots of good comments, lots of good stuff on here tonight. I've not even talked about Chaz or 865 or none of that. I mainly want to come in and talk baseball. But let me pull this one back up. So back down to this regional here, I talked to Arizona. This is a brutal. Dallas Baptist, West Virginia, and Grand Canyon. I want to see that regional. I want to see that one. This Oklahoma State one's all right. Here we go. Greenville Regional. So looking at this, and this dude apparently put all this together. This Friday start. This is impressive stuff. This is really good that he's put together. So we're looking at comparing runs per game. Wake scores a little bit more. They definitely hit more home runs. Wake Forest has got a better offense. Now, with that said, East Carolina hits for quite a bit better average, but Wake's got them beating the rest of them. Pitching-wise, though, man, East Carolina's got a pretty strong pitching staff, 4.7 runs per game, 26.6% strikeout rate. Their walks are a little high, 9.9%, but then their K to walk is 9th. Their whip is 11th. Their ERA is 5th in the nation. Wake Forest, on the other hand, I mean, their strikeout rate is 2nd at 29.2%, and then their Ks to walks is 17.4. But other than that, that Wake Forest pitching staff those numbers are not impressive. I'm sitting here talking about wanting Chase Burns next week, and I mean it with all due respect, just because of the environment it's going to produce. But Wake Forest is going to have their work cut out for them against East Carolina. People can sit and say that East Carolina shouldn't be hosting all they want to, but the bottom line, they are. And that environment over there is going to be insane. It is going to be insane. That is one of the best environments in college baseball. If you have not at some point, and you get a chance, if you've got the ESPN Plus is going to be worth the price of it for this month. All right. College baseball season is where I live on ESPN Plus. Love it. We get a lot of good stuff on there. But if you get a chance this weekend to watch some of the East Carolina regional, especially East Carolina games, you should tune in. It will be exciting over there for sure. They don't get enough credit for their environment. Let's see. I know there was a reason I liked him. I'm a Magic Lakers guy. Hated the Celtics. Those teams, early 80s, 90s were awesome. Yeah. I'm still a Lakers guy, but I'll be honest, I'm not much of a LeBron guy. I'm just not. I mean, he's a great player, but I don't know, man. It's just too much drama for me. And they got to get their coaching stuff right. They've got too much talent to be messing around with playing games. It's that you got LeBron and AD on there, especially to go along with Reeves and Russell and Hachimura. And just all these guys, that should be a top 4 team. Didn't we play High Point? That's a good question. Let me pull the schedule back up here. I think we might have played High Point. Might take me just a second to get that pulled up. I'll come back to that one in a minute, but oh, yeah, the Bad Boys. Man, that was so fun. The Bad Boy. Jordan had to get over. That was his hurdle to get over, was the Bad Boys. And once he did, he never looked back. Yeah, this was fun. I remember in the 80s watching NBA on Sundays after church. And, Boston, I mean, yeah, just a lot of fun. So much fun back then. I've hardly watched any NBA this year. I just can't get into it. And I just can't. I don't know. I don't watch outside of Tennessee. I honestly don't watch a lot of basketball anymore. I'm just not that interested in it. Really need to get into hockey. I've always heard of hockey. Let's see. All right. Let me see if I can get that up here. All right. Let's pull the schedule here. We have seen High Point at some. Yep. Tennessee played High Point in Knoxville, beat them 7-4 back February 27th. That was a pretty competitive game, if I'm not mistaken. Pull that box score on that one. That game was, let's see, it was 5-2 going into the 7th. High Point got a run. Tennessee got 2 more in the 8th, and then High Point got one tonight, 7-4. That was a pretty competitive game. Stamos got the win. Nate Snead got the save on that one. Tennessee batted a lot of guys. Dallas started that one 2 2/3. He had 5 walks that night. Austin Hundley, Stamos, Banky threw, Kirby Cannell threw 1 2/3, and then Snead went 2 1/3 and saved it that night. So yep, they did play High Point, absolutely. It was a pretty tough game. From what I mean, I know it was 7-4. I know High Point got some late, but it just wasn't one of those where it was just like in check that whole time. High Point was up. Let me go back to it here. Now, High Point never led in that game. Actually, it was 3-2. Tennessee got 2 in the 6th, and that was about as close as it got. There was I know Queens was leading at one point. The thing about High Point, too, they were 2-7 coming in there. So they really turned it around after that, for sure. There was a couple midweek. Yeah, you're right. There was a couple midweek games where Tennessee had to pull them out late, for sure. We've had a lot of good baseball, almost an hour and a half of baseball talk. Now, that's pretty awesome. I can sit here and go baseball all night. I'll break this thing down more on Thursday. I mean, I don't know what more there is to talk about tonight. My pick on it, and I guess because I'm pulling for it, I'm going to go I'm tossing up on East Carolina, Wake Forest. I just don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Wake Forest wins that one. I think East Carolina, especially at home, is going to be hard to beat. I like Tennessee's draw. I know Southern Miss, if they get past Indiana and Tennessee gets past Northern Kentucky, which I expect Tennessee to win all 3 games in this one. I really do. I think Tennessee's better. I mean, that's not that Southern Miss and Indiana aren't good teams. Don't get me wrong. It's no disrespect toward them. It's in Knoxville. You're the number 1 team. Tennessee's advantages outweigh the other team where the other teams are good at. I think Tennessee counters each team that they're seeing with it. I like Tennessee to go through in that series. Could it get interesting at times? Sure. I'm sure it will. But I like Tennessee to take care of business this coming weekend. I don't know who I'm going to go with on East Carolina and Wake Forest. I'm almost really going to go with East Carolina. I think East Carolina's pitching matches up well. I do think Wake Forest has a better offense, but man, I've used the word a couple times. There's magic happens over in Greenville this time of year. They don't always get through their regional or super regional. Don't get me wrong on that one, but it's an awesome environment. I think I would not be surprised to see Tennessee and East Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tennessee and Wake. And that part of me to see Beam versus Burns, I want to see it. But I'm not so sure Wake. Wake is just kind of seems to me up and down. And since they're not hosting, they're going into a very hostile environment. I'm going to go with East Carolina to come out of that one. I'm going to go Tennessee, East Carolina next weekend. And then the way it should be paired up at that point, looking at going back to it, normally with the College World Series, they'll have the top 8. I'm thinking it'd be like 1-8, 4-5 together, 2-7, 3-6 together. So if that's the case, you would have Tennessee with the Chapel Hill Regional. You would have Tennessee with the Fayetteville Regional, Arkansas. That would be your 4-5. And then the 8 seed would be Florida State. So let's say all the number 1s do advance to Omaha when it's all said and done, which they won't. But you would have Tennessee against Florida State if I'm thinking right on this one. And if Tennessee won that one, they would be the winner of North Carolina and Arkansas. So that would be their half of the pool. If I'm right, I think I'm right on that. I could be wrong. But, the way just putting the seeds and everything together, that's how I kind of see it there. But let me get to a couple things here. So, of course, Chaz Lanier, I want to talk a little bit about that. I felt good about that one for weeks. It got a little hairy. It got a little interesting. But I still felt there was nothing that led me to believe it would not be Tennessee. And a lot of it, I had the utmost confidence in Rick Barnes to get it done in the end, especially when I saw they got the last visit. I didn't necessarily think Tennessee would pay the most money, which I don't think they would. I think that would have been BYU. And then Kentucky, if you're looking at a basketball situation, if you're a Chaz Lanier, all to me you had to do is look back to last year in Dalton Connect. What he come in and did. He put up better numbers at Tennessee than he did at Northern Colorado. He's going to hear his name called in the lottery next month. If you're Chaz Lanier, now, I'm not saying Chaz Lanier will come in and be Dalton Connect next year, but that team was set up and Rick Barnes went all in on Chaz Lanier and he got his guy. Never doubt the Deacon, Rick Barnes. I had full confidence the whole time. Wasn't on here trolling Kentucky. They didn't want to hear it. I had them trying to come on here and be stupid with what some of them just wanted to talk about their natties and stuff. I don't care about a national championship that you won 13 years ago. These players who at that point in time would have been in elementary school probably don't care about your national championship 13 years ago. Where is your program at in today's point in time? We went through it as Tennessee football for years, especially from 2009 till when Josh Heupel got the football team going in 2021. What did we have to talk about? 98, the good old days about it. When Georgia and Alabama was already doing it, but when these teams started passing Tennessee and leaving them in the dust, all we had to go back on was history. We had nothing for it. That's where Kentucky basketball is at now. They were great. They're one of the best programs of all time. All right. Right now, Tennessee's a better program. It's a more solid program. It's more stable, and it's just better. I mean, the results the last couple of years show it is what it is. And Rick Barnes has had better numbers against Kentucky than anyone has almost ever. Tennessee has a flag planted in Lexington in every major stadium up there with a T on it and a daddy hat on it. That's a fact. That's facts of life. That's not Kentucky being in anyone. They thought they were in my head. They're not. They were the competition, or else I wouldn't even mention them. I'm only mentioning them not because of the Chaz Lanier recruitment and because of the baseball. Otherwise, but Rick Barnes got his guy when it was all said and done. That team is loaded next year. They're going to be, I think, I mean, they're not the favorite, don't get me wrong, but they will have a shot at a national championship. And then the last thing I want to talk about, of course, we did talk a little Lady Vols, but 865 live this past weekend. You know, Tennessee had a big weekend. I think they, I don't know what else. You know, David Sanders is the big target, literally, and for numerous reasons on that offensive tackle. I think he's got to be number one on your board. He is that game changer. There, it was said coming into the weekend that, by some of them that thought it was them at Ohio State, Clemson's in it, Georgia's in it and stuff. But, the fact that he's been to Tennessee 3 times, he's not even taken his official yet. I think it's set up pretty nice for Tennessee. If they don't get him, I don't know that you can fault them on this. I really don't. I don't know that necessarily money or any of that. Any of these guys are going to want to make money. But I don't think all recruits are necessarily all about the money. Sometimes it's about the environment. The guy who committed last week. Oh, goodness. Let me pull it up here just a minute. Let's see. So Tennessee sets at 14th. It was offensive lineman Ogamura. That's it. So, I mean, he's been on, stuff saying that I've had his parents and everything on said that it was the environment. It was not all NIL. It was not none of that. I know Oklahoma fans were a little upset about it. But I mean, he's originally from North Carolina anyway. And I feel pretty good. He is, it's one of the island descents that he is. I can't remember which it is, but he said it on there that's, they're true to their word. Eric Jones just did not mean to put you off there. What's up, man? Good to see you in here tonight. Ogamura, that was a good commitment. It was a good offensive line commitment. Looks like pretty nice stuff that he's doing. But, Sanders, I think you got to like where Tennessee's at with him. I think you really do. Hayward, Lagonza Hayward, one of the top 100 safeties. I think Tennessee, from what I'm reading, top 100 out of Lyons, Georgia. I think you got to like where they're at for him. I mean, they had a nice weekend in terms of prospects they got on campus. Plus, you got guys coming back middle of next month. We'll see where this recruiting ends up at. I mean, I don't necessarily think it has to be a top 5 class. You've just got to hit in the right places, and then you got to build through the portal. I think it's a different day and age as far as that goes. But I think you really got to hit on these David Sanders. Get another. There's was it Smith? I think it's the end, the 5-star end that was there this weekend. They got guys coming back next month. It'll be a good class. It'll be a good class when it's all said and done. And, some of these 3-stars, they've already had one who bumped up to a 4. Those evaluations are ongoing throughout the year. So, just because they start out a 3 does not mean they end up a 3 by any means here. Eli Smith, across the Tennessee is competitive in every sport. Do you think it's NIL, Danny White, or luck of the draw? I don't think it's luck of the draw. I think it is. I think Danny White's done a lot of good hiring. I don't think it's a coincidence that all sports, it seemed, are taking off. If you looked at his resume at Central Florida, even at Buffalo to an extent, that was one thing that stuck out to me when Tennessee hired him from Central Florida. I went and looked at his programs, and it was the same thing at Central Florida. All their programs around were ranked nationally, not just, within their not ranked high in their conference, nationally ranked. and for Central Florida. I've always thought Central Florida would have been a good addition to an SEC school. It's like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, campus colleges in the whole country. But Danny White's a lot of it. I mean, is some of it luck of the draw? I think you're always going to have some luck. NIL, I think Tennessee's got a strong NIL. I've seen that NIL is not an issue. They have it strong, but I think it's just you've got a lot of good coaches right now. Now, obviously, Kim Caldwell is the one that, it's going to remain to be seen. But, I mean, on the surface, I think it's a great hire. You never know. The results speak for themselves. But you look at football, Josh Heupel. I'll be honest, I was not very happy with Josh Heupel last year. I didn't think they did that great of a job. But, I guess at the same time, if a down year is, 9 wins, that's pretty dang good. There were years we wished we could get to 9. I felt it was a down year last year, and they still got to 9. That was pretty good. But there were multiple positions I did not like how they were handled. Quarterback, the obvious one. I thought going with Joe Milton, for whatever reason that they had this whole time with Joe Milton, I thought it held that team back. Now, I'm not there in practice to know what Nico can do, but I don't know. It just seems to me like if you're not redshirting, give him a chance. See what he could have done. But, I mean, we'll see. Me personally, I've said it on here. I would have thought serious about the Austin Peay game, the Florida game, no doubt. That's when I would have made the change with it. Now, there's a reason I'm sitting here doing this and I'm not on the field too. It's easy for me to saying it from here. No doubt about it. But, basketball, Rick Barnes, baseball, Tony Vitello. Tony Vitello is one of the best coaches in the whole country. There's no doubt about it, what they've done. Just the other sports around. Karen Weekly's one of the best in softball. Hopefully Kim Caldwell will get this program turned around with basketball. Just these other sports that are, not your major sports, but you just see these athletes on campus, whether it's tennis, whether it's golf, whether it's all around soccer, volleyball, all this. They're just competitive, swimming, rowing, they're just competitive all the way around. It's just all going for it. Everybody's saying in everything school, there's one thing that is missing though from that everything school is, as proud as we all are of them, let's not beat around the bush about it. It's time for some of these to get over that hump. Okay, need some national championships to start coming in down there. If you want, I don't think you really care how serious others take you. It is what it is, but you got to start because you cannot take it for granted that all these programs are going to stay up for the long haul. It's natural to have some drop off along the way. I think at some point while you're on, why it is an everything school, and it is, you're going to have to get some national championships in some sports. All right. Easier said than done. I know it. But like I said, you can't always take it for granted. You just can't. Need to be top 10. I'm assuming you talk about football here. I agree. I think there's enough talent. I think it's set up to do that. I think so. I agree with this. I think sometimes we were too loyal. I think so too. I think that they were definitely too loyal with Joe Milton. I mean, I look back to Heupel's first year. Sticking with Joe Milton cost them the Pitt game on that one, because if Hendon Hooker would have been playing, that team would have been up 28-0, not 35-0 in the first quarter. Joe Milton missed so many passes that game, and it come back to bite them in the end with it. That loyalty, for whatever reason, to Milton has cost them numerous games under Heupel. I'm hoping they're past that. And I think we saw a little bit of it with them deciding not to pay those secondary guys all that they let go this past season. Joe was loyal for the train. I mean, hey, I hope Joe Milton goes up and makes it. I mean, it's no dislike towards the guy or anything. I don't know. To me, I felt like I knew. I wouldn't say no, but I felt like against the elite teams, we're just behind the 8 ball with Joe Milton. I just, you look at the Alabama game first half, he had a great first half. Second half, he was non-existent. I mean, that was Joe Milton. That was just kind of it. Missouri game, he was good. Georgia, we had the the outlier where Jalen Wright breaks the first play of the game. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. Yep, I agree. You got to be cutthroat to win a title, and that's where they're going to have to be. They're going to have to be with that. Yeah, I agree. That's the thing here with football, man. That's like I said earlier. There was years that 9 wins I'd have been really happy with. So the fact they got to 9 wins in what I thought was a down year last year, if that's the bottom for Josh Heupel, that's pretty good. I did not anticipate coming on for an hour and 40, but man, you guys have helped drive the chat. I like to. That helps drive it a lot. I appreciate your just being involved going on tonight. I'm going to wrap this thing up, guys. But thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I'm going to see, I may release some stuff in the morning possibly, but I am out of commission tomorrow night, and I am out of commission Wednesday for sure. We'll see. Hopefully be back into it Wednesday. But Friday night, Tennessee, Northern Kentucky, 7 o'clock. It's on the SEC Network, I saw. I will be live right after that, so it'll be anywhere from about 10:30 to 11 o'clock Friday night. All baseball games, barring, something unexpected coming up. All baseball games moving forward. I will be live from here till the end. I hope to see you guys in there. But, Sam, we'll get this one last comment here. It was a down year, or a couple of them. Here, we still got 9 wins. I think it sees if Nico's starting quarterback or wide receiver room defense. I think it's going to be good. I think it'll be good to see. I agree with that. I agree. I think that front 7's going to be really good. I think the wide receivers, I think the quarterback play will make a big difference with the receivers. The receivers got a lot of flack last year for their play. I think more of that had to do with the quarterback. I really do. I mean, some guys did some good things, but overall, to me, the dysfunction of all of it, I think it boiled down to one guy. And I hate to go all that route, but, is what it is. Secondary guys really did support our system because we didn't have any. I'm curious to see it's crap or get off the pot season for Willie Martinez this year. We're hearing about this more athletic, faster secondary. I mean, if they get out here and don't produce. Now, if your defensive line does not play like they're supposed to, sure, you're going to put your secondary on an island. But, that secondary is going to be under the microscope to step it up. JL, GBFO, absolutely. And then Bob Franklin, the hype man for the Outlaw Good Show Rock. I'm going to wrap up on that one, guys. Thank you, guys. Happy Memorial Day again. If you're a past or present veteran, thank you for your service. All these things we do, it's possible because of your sacrifice. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great rest of the evening. My name's Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel. Last, most certainly not least, go Vols.